Hey y'all, howdy, welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandy Broadwell, and today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is one of my favorite videos to film every year because it's just so fun to reflect back on all of the books that I've read so far and think about planning for the future and what books I'm going to read for the rest of the year. I love watching everyone else's videos, so if you're not familiar, this is a video that's just a series of questions. I believe I have 14 questions written down. You answer them about your reading year, and that's it. That's the whole video. So feel free to answer the questions down in the comments below. I'd love to hear how your reading year has gone so far. So, very first question, how is your reading year going so far? My reading year is going great. I have no complaints. I've had a lot of 5-star reads. I've had a lot of potentially new all-time favorite reads. So that's really exciting. I have completed 28 books so far in the first 6 months of the year. I'm in the middle of a book as well, so maybe it'll be 29 or 30 by the time this video goes up, but yeah, good reading year so far. Okay, question number 2, getting right into it, is the best book you've read so far in 2026. I think I'm gonna say it is There Is No Anti-Memetics Division by Quantum. So this is a sci-fi book that absolutely blew my mind. It is a story in which there are beings called anti-memes that can basically delete themselves from your memory. So you could be like staring right at one, but as soon as you look away, you don't know that it existed and you don't remember any interactions you had with it. It can basically like sort of rewrite reality around itself, and they are attacking, but we don't know that they're attacking. And there is this whole anti-memetics division of people in the government who are trying to fight these anti-memes but don't really know that that's what they're doing. No memory of their existence can exist. If you read information that was written down about them, it's immediately also erased from your memory as soon as you are no longer looking at the page. So it's such a wild ride. It reminds me of the plot of The Silence in Doctor Who, which was also one of my favorite plot arcs in Doctor Who. This is a very short read. It's very mind-bending. It's very, very cool. It absolutely hits like all the things that I love about science fiction, where we just take this what-if concept and just take it to the nth degree. And it follows a series of characters who all work for the Anti-Memetics Division, and you follow what happens to them in this crazy setup. It's absolutely a book that I picked up because I just thought the cover looked super cool and the story inside is even cooler. This is now one of my favorite sci-fi stories of all time. I immediately wanted to reread it when I put it down, and I highly, highly recommend it if any of that sounds intriguing to you. Question number 3 is, what is the best sequel you have read so far this year? And that absolutely goes to Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. This is book 3 of the Rook and Rose trilogy, the final book. This trilogy follows 3 characters primarily. Ren is a con woman who grew up as like a street urchin, and she tries to infiltrate into a noble family in order to swindle them basically and steal their riches. The other main character is a man named the Rook, who is basically a masked vigilante within the society who does, you know, all the good Zorro, Robin Hood type things, stealing from the rich to give to the poor, and standing up for injustices against the oppressed peoples. And then the third main character is a crime lord named Vargo. He is sort of like in the underbelly of society, and so you have these 3 characters and the ways that they interact. There's so much really cool world building in here. It's set in a sort of Venetian inspired setting. There's just a lot of really, really cool stuff. Multiple different magic systems, multiple different religions and classes at war here. And the characters just make it absolutely incredible to follow along with. I fell in love with them so much throughout the series, and I felt like book 1 was good, but books 2 and 3 just absolutely captured my heart. Question number 4 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. I would say I have 2 that are like really stand out that I Can't believe I haven't gotten to these yet. Number one would be The Faith of Beasts by James S.A. Corey. This is the second book in the Captives War trilogy, and I absolutely loved the first book. I also loved the accompanying novella, Live Suit, that came out. And so I checked this out from the library as an ebook, but didn't realize it wasn't compatible with my Kindle, so I ended up returning it without reading it. So now I'm waiting on the physical book from the library, and it's like hurting my heart that I haven't gotten to this yet, because it was one of my favorite novels the year that it came out. It was also, I think it was in my top 10. The novella was the year that it came out, so I'm very excited to finally get back into this world, get into the sequel, and finds out what happens. This is the same author of the Expanse series. If you've ever read those novels, they're fantastic. The Captives War trilogy is about basically what happens when aliens completely take over human society and they capture this group of scientists and get them to work on this project while they're being oppressed on an alien planet. Really, really crazy stuff in like the human psychological space of what these people are going through together as a team. The second new release that I haven't gotten to yet is A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinniman, which is the newest Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I've been trying really, really hard to pace myself with the series because I love it and I devour it every time I pick up a book. And so I am currently, I've finished book 6. I have not started book 7 yet, and I will be reading book 7 in July, and then probably reading book 8 in August. So again, it's not that I've been putting it off or haven't gotten to it yet. It's just that I'm really, really trying to pace myself so that I still have more Dungeon Crawler Carl to look forward to. Question number 5 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Because of an answer I already gave about the Rook and Rose trilogy, one of my most anticipated releases is The Eye of the Leviathan by M.A. Carrick, which is, I believe, the first book that this author duo is putting out since they finished the Rook and Rose trilogy. It is like a alternate Spanish golden age in which there are fae, and I'm absolutely intrigued by that. There's also some seafaring involved, and I just am really stoked to see what else this author has in store. My other probably most anticipated release is Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel, just because I've absolutely loved Station 11 and Sea of Tranquility, so I'm very excited to read more from this author. The pitch for it said, Exit Party is a novel about the price of safety, the perils of the surveillance state, a requiem for a world not unlike our own, and a breathtaking story of resilience in the face of cataclysmic change. So I'm just very stoked about that, and I heard that she's taken a lot of inspiration from the state of our world at the moment, which feels like something I could really use. Question number 6 is the biggest disappointment so far this year, and I'm going to say that was Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree. This is the third book that has come out in the Legends and Lattes series. I absolutely loved Legends and Lattes, and I have not found that to be true of either of the other books that have come out. The last one I thought was okay. This one I just didn't land for me. It follows the Ratkin character who was the like a side character in the prequel novel, and I just really found that it fell flat. I did not appreciate the choices that character made. I thought she was honestly not an easy person to follow because the choices that she made me think she was kind of a despicable person, and she was portrayed as being like a protagonist making relatable decisions that I just didn't think were. So I thought she was a bad friend, thought she was a bad pet owner, just kind of thought she was a bad person. So yeah, didn't enjoy it. You can hear more of my thoughts about that in my February wrap up. Question number 7 is my biggest surprise, and I'm going to give that one to Yesteryear by Carol Claire Burke. This one is a novel that I had never heard of before it was my book of the month selection. There weren't any like fantasy or sci-fi novels that month that I thought sounded good, and this one sounded really intriguing. This is about a tradwife influencer who basically wakes up one day back in what seems like the 1850s or so. She is basically in the era that she purports to aspire to with all of her tradwife bullshit. And it's about her kind of dealing with the actual realities of the harsh living at that time. And she's just a very kind of despicable, unlikable character. And so it was just a wild ride to follow along with her journey through this experience. And I found myself like not being able to look away. So I really had a good time with this one. Question number 8 is my new favorite author, or which could be either a debut author or a new to me author. And my favorite, I think, new to me author this year is Arkady Martine. I read the Teixcalon duology, which was A Memory Called Empire and A Desolation Called Peace. I really found both of these to be incredible sci-fi novels. The first one follows a ambassador from a space station to basically the evil empire when their ambassador suddenly turns up dead, and so she's sent in his place and has to get there and find out, was he killed? Did he die of natural causes? Like, what is the political atmosphere that's happening that I need to entrench myself in and find out both like what's going on in the empire and also like what's going on with this mysterious death. At the same time, the empire is not what this ambassador imagined it to be. When she gets to the capital, there's actually a lot of unrest and civil strife happening, which is not portrayed to those outside. She's treated as like a barbaric foreigner just because she is not from there. And at the same time, her society, her culture, her space station has this really advanced technology that they want to keep from being subsumed by the empire. And so she's trying to keep that secret as well. It just has really great character dynamics. It has really great political intrigue. It has really great sci-fi elements. And the second book takes it all and spins it in a different direction and adds some really intriguing new characters. And I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. Question number 9 is my newest favorite character. I don't know that I have a favorite overall, but one that stands out from a recent read is Anne of Brittany from The Unicorn Hunters by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden is also the author of the Bear the Nightingale trilogy, which I really, really loved. And this is only the 4th book that I've read from her now, but I just find that her female protagonists are so powerful and incredible to follow. Anne of Brittany is a woman that is in a really tight, hard spot where she needs to make a political marriage in order to save her country, her duchy, I guess, from being subsumed by France. But she doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to leave home, and she wants to protect her little sister and make her set up in a way that she won't have to make the hard choices that Anne has had to make. And she's very smart and very likable, and I just thought that following her was a treat. So I highly recommend The Unicorn Hunters. It was kind of a great, like, classic sort of fairy tale feeling fantasy story. Question number 10 is a book that made me cry. I don't actually think any books have made me cry yet this year, which I used to say books don't make me cry, but that's not the case anymore. And I think at this point last year in my year book freak out, I had like 3 different books already at that point that had made me cry, but none so far this year. So intrigued to see if that will change before the end of 2026. Question number 11 is a book that made me happy, and I'm gonna give that one to The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the sequel to The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, which follows a lady pirate in her 40s who has retired and has a family, but is called back into the pirating life for one final gig, basically, that turns into, of course, more than just one, since there is sequels. But I just absolutely love the setup for this book, and I found following Amina and her crew again on this adventure was really, really fun, and the ending was absolutely jaw-dropping and has like the cliffhanger element that made me be like, oh no, like I need book 3 ASAP. So even though the ending and the things that happen in this story are not happy, it just made me happy to be back with Amina again, and I'm so glad that I finally got to follow her adventures some more, and I'm very much looking forward to the 3rd book. Question number 12 is my favorite book to movie adaptation that I saw this year, and I have only seen one book to movie adaptation this year, but it was done so well, and I'm so stoked about it, and that was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I did not read this book this year. I read it the year that it came out, which was several years ago now, but I absolutely loved this book, and I think they did an amazing job with the movie. I went and saw it in theaters. Ryan Gosling plays the main character who he wakes up on a spaceship, and the rest of the crew is dead, and he has no memory of who he is or why he is in space. And It's got really good thrilling elements, but it's also got some good kind of found family elements, and the main character has a really funny sense of humor, and I thought the movie captured all of that so well. It followed all the plot beats really well, and I think it really pulled out the emotional elements of the story, but followed the science also. I love when a movie of a book that I love is done so well and just captures all of the vibes. So super stoked about Project Hail Mary. If you haven't seen it yet, go out and give it a view. It's absolutely worth your time. Question 13 is, what is the most beautiful book I have bought or received so far this year? And I think I'm gonna give that one to The Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I have not read this book yet, but I have read 3 other books by Alex E. Harrow, and I've liked all of them. So it was a safe bet to pick up one of her books that I haven't read yet. But I just think the starlings on this cover are really pretty. It also has purple sprayed edges, which I enjoy because it matches the cover. But yeah, I just really like the art on that one. I think it's a pretty book. And the final question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And of course, the answer is always all of the books. But I picked up 4 just to give you a taste of books that I'm planning to read for the rest of the year. My next book club book is The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong, which I am so stoked to read. I was the person who selected this book for my book club, so I'm very excited also to hear what my family thinks about it when they read it. But I read Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong last year, and it was like my favorite book of the year. So I'm very excited to read her backlist novel, which I know has been a darling of fantasy booktube for a very long time. So this one is high on my list. I'm so excited to read it this month. I also am planning to read Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert because Dune Part 3, the movie, is coming out this year, I believe in December, and is based off of this book. And I have read Dune 3 or 4 times. I absolutely love that novel. It's one of my all-time favorite sci-fi novels, but I've never continued on with the series. It's a great standalone, I think, and doesn't really need more, but I am excited that there is more. I've heard that the next couple of novels at least are absolutely worth it, so I absolutely will be reading Dune Messiah before the new Dune movie comes out. I'm also doing multiple reading challenges this year, and trying to keep up with those is a task. I've definitely given myself too many reading challenges, but 2 of the different reading challenges that I'm in talk about reading an old favorite. So one of them is like reread a book you haven't read in over 10 years, and the other one is like read a favorite from childhood or reread a favorite from childhood. And so for that, I have Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I read this back in middle school, I think within a year or 2 of the year that it came out. It was just a book that I happened to find while I was browsing at Barnes & Noble, and I remember absolutely loving this book as a young middle school girl. So I definitely picked up the second book when it came out a couple of years later, but then it took so long for the books to come out in that series that I didn't end up keeping up with it. I just kind of forgot that it existed. So I'm excited to dive back in and see if this is a book that I'm still going to enjoy as an adult, and if I actually want to finish the series that I started way back then. And finally, the last book I'm going to talk about today that I hope to get to later this year is The Stand by Stephen King. It is a chunk. It is over 1,000 pages. So I've been very intimidated by this, but I've heard that this is often fantasy readers' favorite Stephen King novel. So, and I've heard it's like post-apocalyptic. So I think that sounds like a really good time. I've read, I think, 3 other Stephen King novels at this point and have had a good time with all of them. So I'm excited to get back into more of his works and hopefully find my new favorite, Stephen King. We will see. That's it for the mid-year book freakout tag. Thanks so much for hanging out and tuning in for a little bit today. Let me know your answers to some of these down in the comments below. And as always, please be kind, do good, and read more books. I'll see you again soon.